Hi, welcome to today's devotional podcast with Dr. Jacob Al. I want to begin by saying that our viewing numbers have continued to grow, and I do want to share this, not because I want to brag about these numbers, but I want to share it once a while for people to know uh, how essential this particular series is to some people who have not had the opportunity of gaining such knowledge. Now, some may look at it and say, "This, why are you doing this? You talking about the reproductive uh, uh, system of the male and the female. Why is that so important? It is so important because lack of knowledge is killing our marriages, Christian marriages, just because of the lack of knowledge. And if you think that you already know, you don't know what is happening to other people. Yesterday, I had to stay till 3 p.m. our time in the US in order to counsel a man who had called me and left me a message that his marriage is about to break. And in fact, the wife has moved out of the house. Due to some of these problems, I have been discussing, and he heard it and he decided to send me a Facebook inbox message, and I responded, and he narrated the whole story about they have been married for 20 years. They have 2 kids. Right now, the wife is separated from him as a result of problems that the marriage has been going through. And so when some people sit back and they ask why I'm doing this, this is the exact reason why. Because marriages are suffering and people need this information. For lack of information, the marriages, the enemy is using it as a tool to destroy marriages. And so, look, if you already have this information, good, then this is not for you. Now, I don't mind if you tune me off, because I know this message is not for everybody, but there are people who needs it. And let me just show you. I get a weekly viewing report of the episodes that have taken place. So I just got the report for the last week. The last week. Now looking at episode episode um, episode 14 received 1.5 thousand views. 1.5 thousand views. Episode 14. Episode 15 received so far, this was 8 days ago, it received 693 views. That is downloads from YouTube. YouTube sends me this report. Now, episode 16 received 638 views. Episode 17, 6 days ago, received 1.1 thousand views. Episode 18, 5 days ago, have received so far 770 views. Now, if I go into details of the viewing places, you'll be surprised. Most of it is China, Vietnam, South Korea, and even some Arab countries. Now, why am I sharing this? This message is resonating with people who otherwise don't have the opportunity. They don't have this information. We may think that it is common information, but this information is so vital that they cannot hear it from the pulpits of their pastors. And I understand. I mean, it's not easy. If but for the opportunity the Lord gave me to do a second PhD, a PhD in psychology, and led me towards taking marriage as my concentration and sexual intimacy in marriage as my major, a lot of these things I wouldn't have known. And now I can begin to see why the Lord gave me this opportunity. When I finished my first doctoral in ministry program, this North Central University invited me as an African American to apply for scholarship. They had a scholarship program. So I applied for. And by the time I got the response, I had started the first class. But when they looked at my background, they realized that I was a vice president with a mortgage company. And they called me and said, look, you qualify for this scholarship, but we think that you make enough money to be able to pay yourself. This particular program is for African Americans who are under a certain income level. You are way above that. So I thought of dropping it. But the Lord spoke to me clearly. My church needs this knowledge. I will provide. So even though I didn't get the scholarship, I decided to continue. And the Lord has provided one way or the other. And I know at the end of the day, even though right now I'm taking student loans and pursuing this, I believe beyond every reasonable doubt that the Lord is going to pay off these loans for me eventually, because I'm being obedient to Him. And I probably wouldn't have the boldness to do this if I hadn't gained the knowledge that I gained as a result of this PhD in psychology with a concentration in marriage and sexual intimacy. And so, even if a single marriage is saved as a result of this series, I would have fulfilled my calling from the Lord. And so this is why I'm doing this. And there's nothing that is going to discourage me from doing it, because somebody must do it. And the Lord has granted me the opportunity, and I would rather obey God than men. Even though some may feel uncomfortable, it is the Word of God, and the Word of God, every aspect of the Word of God must be preached. We can't choose and select some and leave others. So if God has granted me the knowledge, I'm going to be used as a tool to share it out, so that the body of Christ will become knowledgeable in this area, so that the enemy doesn't take advantage of it. So the reason why I have to go through all this explanation, because today we are treating one of the most controversial organs of the female genitalia, and that is the vagina. So the female reproductive system, mainly the vagina, and that is episode 21. Our text is taken from Psalm 139, verses 13 to 14. For you formed my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and I know this very well. Psalm 139, 13 to 14. So the vagina in Latin it means a shelf. A shelf. That's what it is. It's a Latin word. So the vagina is highly elastic, shaven-like canal that provides passage to and from sheltered genital organs within the body. So uh, the confusion, people think that the vagina is just the outer external thing that they see, but it's deeper than that because it goes way into touching the cervix. And so the external portion that we see, it is just the beginning. It's not the whole thing. Uh, it is highly elastic, Shethen-like canal that provides passage to and from sheltered genital organs within the body. A vault of tissues surround the tip of the cervix to the vagina's upper end. So it prolongs into the female body, right touching the cervix of the uterus at the upper end. There are folds of tissues around the inner walls of the vagina, which are usually in contact with one another. It is possible for it, which is generally 3 to 5 inches long, to expand quickly to receive the penis. So even though it is said to be 3 to 5 inches long, it has been created, the Lord has created it in such a way that when it's stimulated, it can expand twice its size. And this is done quickly with a little stimulation. And this is another miraculous aspect of how God has created this specific organ. It has the capacity, when stimulated, to expand to the very level that it will need to accommodate the male genital organ. And it's amazing how God has done this. And what is amazing about this is when with the right knowledge, a lot of things can go right when it comes to having sexual intercourse with your partner. Now, why do I say this? Now, if you are a man and you have gained the knowledge that, look, it takes about 3 to 4 seconds when stimulated for the vagina to expand twice its size to accommodate the male organ, which is the penis. If you are a man and you are equipped with this knowledge, what does that tell you? You would take your time and not rush into your woman just when you get down on bed with her. Because why? You haven't stimulated it enough to expand to accommodate your organ. So when you forcefully insert, that is when it is painful. That is when the woman doesn't enjoy the intercourse because you have not given it time to stimulate it so that it can expand. And you also see there are other lubricants that needs to be released. And so because men, we lack knowledge about these things, we rush and force our way into our women and leave them with pain that they don't have the desire to do it the next time. And when the Bible says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish, it's also applicable here. Because if you are a man and you never take time to stimulate your wife's clitoral areas, to allow time, in fact, it is said that it takes about 3 to 4 seconds with the right stimulation for the vagina to expand to the level that it can accommodate the male organ. Now, it may take longer. It says that when a child is born, however, the vagina expands the most. The vagina is self-cleansing because it is covered in tiny glands that consistently produces a phlegm of moisture. Therefore, cultures aren't necessary very often. So God has created this organ so intricately created, in a sense that it is self-cleansing by itself. There are things that God, this moist, a tiny gland that consists and produces a phlegm of moisture that consistently cleanses this female organ. It is amazing. So, in the vicinity of the external vaginal opening, there are concentrations of sensory nerves involved in sexual arousal when stimulated by a touch. A contractor muscle surrounds the space, responding to signals from the sensory nerves. It can be tightened and relaxed dynamically depending on what is needed. Another intriguing revelation. So, God has created a number of sensory nerves around the area of the external area of the vagina, which is the clitoris. There are a lot of nerves, sensory nerves, that are around this area. And it is aroused when stimulated by a touch. So, we men, unfortunately, when we think of sex, all we think about is the opportunity to insert our organ into our wives. But what we don't understand is that our wives are not very much stimulated by the insertion when we start the love-making process. There is a lot that you can do to stimulate your woman before the insertion. Our minds are such that we forget that we have a role to play in arousing these sensual areas of the woman to make her begin to secrete certain lubricants that makes the penetration easier and pleasurable for her. But because we lack this knowledge and our minds are fixed on insertion, once the woman is down, we jump on her and immediately want to thrust through her. We haven't given her time to adjust and be ready. And very often, they don't enjoy it. We hurt them and cause pain to them. And so, little wonder they are not excited When we are in the mood and we want them to respond, they can respond because they are thinking of the pain they went through the last time they went through it. And I have gained a lot of knowledge just by this going through this course. And I pray that every man will take time to understand the process and the way the woman's genital body is made up of. When we do understand, we will bear with them and we will be patient because we are hurting them. In our desire and our rush to have our way through them, we are causing them pain. And so they never enjoy the act of sexual intercourse. It always a painful memory. When the Lord has created it to be a pleasurable memory, because of our lack of knowledge and our lack of self-control, because of our eagerness and our desire to satisfy ourselves, without taking time to stimulate the sensory areas of our woman, so the necessary natural lubricants that God has created to make this exercise pleasurable, because we don't do the right things to cause them to have these lubricants released, guess what? We rush through the process, and by so doing, we cause pain to them instead of pleasure. And listen, these sensory areas can be aroused just by simply touching with your fingers. And it has the capacity to contract, tighten, and loosen when needed. When you have stimulated your woman well enough, and the whole genital area is lubricated well enough, before you penetrate her, she has the capacity to contract and expand when needed. But you see, if you don't exercise patience and stimulate her for her natural lubricants to be released, and you thrust through her in the pain, she is not able to exercise this contraction and releasing that will stimulate you to even enjoy her better. And that is the problem. Because when you force your way through her and it's dry, what happens is that you may force your way through her, but because you've caused pain to that area, it's so painful that she is not able to contract and release to give you the pleasure that you would have received if you were patient with her, to allow the natural lubricants to lubricate the area before you insert. God has a reason for creating the woman the way she is. And listen, look, within 10 to 30 seconds of sexual stimulation, the vaginal lubricant occurs in a woman. In older women, it may take 1 to 3 minutes in older women. So God has produced a natural lubricant in the inner vagina of the woman. And if the man is aware of this, the man knows where to touch to release this lubricant. then your wife will be ready to receive your insertion. If you don't play it well, then there is a problem. So, for younger women, within 30 seconds, the vaginal lubricant is released. Now, once the woman is older, 50 and above, and obviously in menopause, it takes longer for the lubricant to be released. So you may have to play around her clitoris and the outer vagina a number of times for between 2, 3 to 4, 5 minutes for the lubrication to happen before you can penetrate. So, as a result of sexual excitement, the upper vaginal wall are coated with birds of lubrications. So the upper vaginal entrance is coated with these birds, small like barbs, like that releases the lubricants. So the man, if you are aware of this wall, the coated wall, before you insert, you can use your fingers to touch the upper walls of the vagina that will release these lubricants. When that is released, then the woman is ready to receive you in. If you are not comfortable using your fingers, then you want to not thrust the whole penis into her right away. You would want to play around the tips of it and touch the upper part of it a number of times without fully penetrating in order to release those lubricants. But the temptation for us men is we can't wait. We aren't able to wait the 10 seconds or the 30 seconds that is needed to play around the clitoral area of the woman to release those naturally producing lubricants into her whole vagina before you can fully thrust through her. If you are not patient in doing that, what happens is that you force your way through her dry vagina. And there have been times when my wife would tell, hey, it's painful, take your time. There have been times, but I never knew this. And now that I know, I will better handle her than I have done. And I wish I had known this years ago. But nobody told me this. You probably will learn the reproductive system in high school, but they are not going to go into details to tell you about all these things. No. If you have a physician who is a gynecologist and your wife complains of painful sexual encounters, then he may open up, if he is knowledgeable, to train and ask you, the man, and help you try to lubricate her well to cause that pain to stop. But outside that, this information, nobody is told. Nobody knows that. But God has created these natural ways of stimulating and lubricating the genital parts of the woman before we will have the opportunity to enjoy each other in a very pleasurable way without hurting our woman. But because we lack the knowledge, we are so eager to satisfy ourselves that we hardly find time to care about the feelings of our mate. And this is where the enemy has taken advantage of. And when our partners become disinterested in sex, and whenever we touch them, they crunch because they are thinking that, oh, here we go again. I'm just going to go through this pain of sexual intercourse again. So they are not excited. They are not enthused. It is because we are so impatient and we haven't taken the time to stimulate them for their natural lubricants to be released before we thrust through them. And even if they are incapable of producing these natural lubricants because of their age, there are artificial lubricants that your doctors can always recommend, which you can use to make it pleasurable for her. But obviously, you need to ask her permission before you do that. So, this is to enhance the enjoyment of the clitoral stimulation. The knowledgeable husband will gently reach up into the vagina and massage the clitoral area with lubricants. That is, if you are unable to touch the upper wall of the vagina to release the natural lubricants. But if you are able to, you would not need an external artificial lubricant because everything that you need is provided inside that organ. As a man, you need to learn the parts of your partner so well that you will be able to lubricate her sufficiently to allow her to be able to enjoy the act of sexual intercourse. So, unless the lubricant is brought down, all the lubricants remain in the upper vagina when a woman lies on her back. So, if you don't know and your wife is lying on her back, the lubricants remain at the upper wall of her vagina. You have to reach out with your fingers, insert maybe an inch or two, and touch the upper parts of her vagina to release those bats that contains the lubricants for it to be released to moisturize the place, lubricate the place sufficiently before you can thrust through her. If you don't do that and you thrust through her dry, it's painful because God created those areas to be very sensitive. There are sensory nerves all around that area. So any forceful thing that you do, that is why rape is the most cruel thing that can happen to a woman. God didn't create the opening of the woman to be forcefully invaded into. No. When that is done, there is excruciating pain because that's not the natural cause. The natural cause of insertion into a woman is a willful permission. And that willful permission allows you, the man, to stimulate her. She is consciously aware and she has agreed and agreed and released herself emotionally to be attached to the exercising of this before these natural lubricants will take place. You may be married, but if she is not actually in the mood, as we discussed in earlier episodes, if you have detached your sexual life with your partner, you have detached it from your everyday life, and you think you can maltreat her, you can misuse her, and then just pounce on her and have sex with her, listen, you haven't played your role to allow her to be able to release herself in these areas, because you have to remember a lot of these glands are controlled by the emotions in the head, in the brains. So when she's emotionally wrecked and she's not ready for you, a lot of these natural things will not happen for the act of sex to be pleasurable. That is why, as men, please understand this. It is not about just the sex. It's about honoring your wife and helping her to reach the extent that she can enjoy this act of sexual intercourse when she has been mentally prepared and released herself to allow these natural things to happen. So, listen. So, unless the lubricant is brought down, all the lubricants remain in the upper vagina when a woman lies on her back. To enjoy a sexual encounter, adequate vaginal lubrication is imperative. It's very necessary. If you don't take your time to do this, there's no way your wife is ever going to gain orgasm, because it will be always a painful encounter for her. Please, men, let's be careful. It is a pleasurable thing that God has created. Do not let us, out of impatience and lack of knowledge, cause it to be a type of pain for the other. So, in the absence of natural lubrication, the husband would need to apply artificial lubricants, really readily available in drugstores and supermarkets. Ensure that you use the lubricant to the head of the penis and to the outer surface of the vagina before penetration. This is very important. As I said, older women in menopause might not have this natural release of these lubricants that are necessary. And so as a result, they may not be able to release them naturally. And so you, the husband, you can discuss with your wife and let her recommend the lubricant that is suitable for her, because sometimes these lubricants can be irritating. So you need to seek her permission to use these lubricants to lubricate her internally and put some around your penis before insertion. But it must be done in agreement with her and her permission. It's her body, and you cannot just put anything into her body without her knowledge. Sometimes we men, we want to outsmart them by thinking, okay, I just rub it on my penis, and when I insert, she will not feel the pain. Yes, it's your penis, you are inserting it in her. You need to get her permission to put that, whatever lubricant it is you are putting inside her. It has to be consensual. Okay? So, as a result of low estrogen levels, a nursing mother's capacity to lubricate may be limited. When a woman nurses, she typically suffers from dryness in her vaginal region. requiring an artificial lubricant every time she has intercourse. So, men that your wives have just delivered and they are up to the time of coming back to enjoy sexual intercourse, please, they are the most people who suffer pain. Because of breastfeeding, they have lower level of estrogens. And so they are not easily released. And so it is important that you understand they suffer some dryness in the vaginal area and therefore may require artificial lubricants. So the vagina should never be considered a passive organ, but a dynamic one. What does it mean by a passive organ? What it means is that it is a very active dynamic organ in the sense that, as I said before, it may just be 3 to 4 inches, but with the right stimulation, it can extend to 6 to 8 inches. So it doesn't matter how huge your manhood might be. Look, if you take time to stimulate your woman well, it doesn't matter how huge you are, you shouldn't have problems penetrating. Why? Because God has naturally built it with the capacity, it's elastic, with the capacity of expanding to accommodate whatever your manhood is. You say, Pastor, oh, you don't understand. Mine is just extra. Look, that is when you need to exercise more patience. It is not a static organ, it is a dynamic organ. That part of the female body is not dormant. And so, as a woman, and I say this to a lot of the young couples that are counseled. Look, you are expected to stay sexually pure. So you don't get to see how big your man's organ is or how tiny the woman's organ is till the night of the honeymoon after the wedding. And because Christian counselors, we don't take time to talk about this. For the first time, the girl may be a virgin. And the boy could be a virgin too. But because they are both Christians, they've kept themselves pure. They haven't had the opportunity to have any sexual intercourse, so they don't know how their organs are till the night of the honeymoon. Then the girl realizes that, hey, my man's thing is so huge that it may hurt me. And she may be scared. And the whole night of honeymoon will be a nightmare instead of the dream honeymoon that they had been thinking about. So, as counselors, it is important, and we will see through this book, it is important that the girl, a few days before the wedding, it is important that the girl does certain exercises. And we will talk about the next organ, which is the hymen, which is the very organ that blocks the vagina till and is broken when the woman loses her virginity. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But the point I'm making here is, look, young people will ask me, if we don't try it, how will we know that we can enjoy each other. And I said, you don't need to do that. Because why? With proper counseling, you will be able to fulfill this on the day of your marriage without any problem with proper counseling, because I usually would counsel them. If the man is counseled well and he relaxes and gives enough stimulation before trusting in, it doesn't matter how huge he is. The woman's vagina has the capacity to expand to accommodate his penis. It's just a matter of knowledge. And young people when they are counseled well, it's able to happen. So when orgasm occurs, the uterus moves down, causing the cervix to rest in a pool of semen deposited in the upper vaginal canal. Fertilization occurs when sperms enter the oviducts and meets the eggs coming from the opposite direction. When couples have such information, they can increase their chances of conception by helping the woman during the ovulation period to gain orgasm. So this is another vital knowledge for those who are expecting kids, pregnancy, and it hasn't happened. If you help your woman gain orgasm, it enhances the chance of fertilization. Why? Because when the woman gains orgasm, it says here that the uterus moves down, causing the cervix to rest in the pool of semen that has been deposited in the upper vaginal canal. So if you are seeking pregnancy, please, during the woman's ovulation period, you, the man, should make it your goal to help her gain orgasm, because that is going to lower the uterus into the pool of semen that you deposit, and it is more likely then that one of them will fertilize her egg. And this is another knowledge that will be helpful to couples who are seeking pregnancy. Thank you for taking time to listen to today's devotional podcast. I know it's a lot, but I'm trusting that with the knowledge that you have gained, you will check the written. If you want to revise this, please go onto our website or on Facebook. I have the written material that I have just gone through quickly with you. Because of time, I couldn't squeeze it all in, but tomorrow we'll look at probably the last organ of the female reproductive. That is the very outer covering of the vagina, which is the hymen. It's quite interesting, a lot of information. But once again, I want to pray for couples who are having issues with intercourse and painful intercourse and all that. With all the knowledge you have gained, the Lord can release you and make these organs work correctly so you can enjoy one another once again, and God will bless you with the fruit of the womb. My Lord and Savior Jesus, I thank you for this knowledge that we have shared today. And I pray for the couple right now who are suffering. They have never been able to enjoy sex pleasurably as a result of some defects in their sexual organs. In the name of Jesus, I pray for a release, that healing would take place in the innermost part of their organs and bring complete satisfaction and healing, that they can enjoy each other. In your precious name I pray. Amen. Beloved, if you have listened to this, I encourage you to click on the box in the bottom right corner and subscribe, so that anytime we upload a video, you will get an alert and you will be able to have access to it. Thank you for taking time to listen to today's devotional podcast. I pray you have been blessed and you have gained so much information that will help you in your sex life and in your marriage life and bring healing and pleasure that would reunite and reignite the love within your marriage. Thank you and God bless.